Beg your pardon? Meredith, who is this coarse person with the foreign accent?
It just comes down to the amount of moisture coming off your body each night. Each adult human loses between half a liter and a liter of moisture each night. A lot of that just through perspiration, through breathing, but also body oils. All that extra liquid gets down in the mattress if you don't have a protector, and that's going to cause the foams in your mattress to degrade much more quickly. So being able to test and review stuff, and people come to me and they ask me what they should buy, and we're able to connect them with the right bed. It makes a difference in their sleep and in their physical health and their mental health. Sleep is everything.
I'm excited about this, man.
Absolutely.
All right, hey, this is a fun one. Derek, welcome. You are a mattress guy, and I think everyone should have a mattress guy. So I'm happy that you're ours.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can I start with just expel the myths? I read somewhere that a mattress gains like twice its original weight just from your gunk from your body and whatever dead skin, whatever sweat goes into it. Is that true?
I think that's more myth than reality, though mattresses do gain weight over time, particularly if you're not using a mattress protector. If you use a waterproof mattress protector, then all that stuff that would be, getting down in the mattress doesn't. Gets on the protector, you wash protector, it goes away. Otherwise, yeah, dead skin cells, hair, moisture, your body loses between half a liter and a liter of moisture every night. A lot of that through just, breathing, but also, perspiration, oils in the body. And that stuff, invariably builds up in the mattress. So over time, you will see mattresses gain weight, particularly if you're not using a protector.
And then that moisture and all that stuff turns into mold and other things you shouldn't be breathing while you sleep, I assume.
In the worst cases, yeah, it can become a mold problem, particularly if you live in a hot, humid climate and it's just sort of always damp. So absolutely, it's one of those things where...
Wait, you're talking about the United Kingdom here. Come on, here it's a way of life, the dampness. Yeah.
Fair point, yeah.
You're insulting this entire country, which is also very welcome on this show. I do it regularly.
Love it.
What's your thing called, so that we know what we're talking about?
So our website is NapLab. That's NAPLAB.com. We have our reviews, comparisons, best of guides, and kind of everything about the world of mattresses and sleep.
It's awesome. I tried your quiz, and you got me when one of the questions was, what are you looking for in your mattress? And one of the options is sex performance. What can you tell me what? How often is that what people come asking for?
It's something like, I think 17 to 18% of our readers say that it's one of the most important things they care about on the mattress. So certainly not as important as, cooling or pressure relief or support, but it's way up there. I think particularly people that have, slept on mattresses that are, kind of have that sinking feeling, that quicksand, which is, memory foam typically, those sorts of beds can be really tiring and strenuous for you and your partner.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I had some back issues and I went for a super firm mattress, but in the unlikely event that I would ever get any sex, it hurts my knees. Like, it feels like the springs in it are so close to the surface that they dig in. So I can totally see how that's an important criteria,
Yeah. The sort of extra firm mattresses, they kind of cut both ways, right? Like for many people, they do help to alleviate back pains, but you have issues then with kind of comfort and pressure relief. So while it may be great for kind of exclusive back sleeping, a lot of times for side sleeping, it's just too firm to comfortably be on. So it's really kind of find that balance of sort of what works for your back and body, but also, what's going to provide the right, comfort, and then also other uses like amorous activities as well.
So you came with an interesting angle as well. There are some major problems in the mattress industry. Is that true?
Certainly, yeah.
I saw the words lies and scams being thrown around. What's that all about?
I think the world of mattresses, has become, yeah, scam might be a hard word, but I think there is a lot of, dishonesty, or at the very least, half truths, mattress brands that don't tell the whole truth about what exactly their product can do, how it will perform, how long it will last, and other performance criteria and material just specifications around the mattress. And so I think it's become a growing problem, particularly in the last couple of decades, where even just simple stuff, you go to a particular mattress brand's website, you look at the site, it says it's supposed to be so many tall, and it has this type of foam in it, and that foam is, this thickness. We order these mattresses, we get them, we cut them open, we measure them, and a lot of times, just like the simple stuff, like it says it's supposed to be 12 inches, well, it's 10. It says it's supposed to be a 3-inch memory foam layer, well, it's 2. Also, it's not memory foam, it's just a basic polyurethane foam. It says it has phase change materials in the cover. Well, technically it does have phase change, but they're really low quality, and the quantity of those phase change materials is very limited, such that it's not going to have anywhere close to the type of cooling performance that they're alleging on their product page. So there is, again, I think, a real problem with sort of, half-truths in the world of mattresses.
Okay, I'm gonna let you tell us how you guys are fixing that in a second. But memory foam you mentioned there, when they sell it as such, what's the real thing actually? I don't think I've ever looked into it. What's memory foam meant to be then?
This is a great question. Originally memory foam was a product developed by NASA for the space shuttles. Tempur-Pedic, developed it for commercial uses in the early 90s for their mattresses. And then we had a number of other brands, start to develop sort of their own versions of the memory foam over time. And so when it began, memory foam sort of had its own sort of foam formulation. And on sort of, the law tags that we have here in the US and that you may have also in the UK, you see it listed as viscoelastic polyurethane foam. Today, you have many mattress brands that market themselves as using memory foam, but it's not a viscoelastic polyurethane foam. It's just a regular polyurethane foam. Now, it may share many properties with sort of classic memory foam, but this has become the real challenge: is what is memory foam? And the problem, I think, is there really is no hard legal definition or even industry agreed upon definition. And so any brand that wants to say they're using memory foam, they can say it, because there's nothing that sort of, really determines and defines what memory foam is. In my mind, memory foam is a foam that creates a more dramatic body contouring hug and usually has a slower material recovery speed. So it's kind of like if you stick your hand down in it, and you pull your hand off, it'll take a second or two to sort of recover back to its shape. But when you have these problems where the foam isn't very clearly defined, either legally or just sort of an industry agreed upon term, in addition to just the spectrum of quality, you can have, 2 different types of memory foam that are both 3 inches, both market themselves as memory foam, but feel very different, that have a very different quality, that last very different durations, simply because the exact sort of formulation of those foams, the density of those foams, is dramatically different. One of them may be an amazing foam that's going to last you 12 years. The other is, again, looks very similar, but it's sort of a lower quality foam and it's not going to last as long. So for all of these reasons, it's really hard to know exactly like what you're getting in the mattress. So we talked, specifically about memory foam here, but these sort of same issues apply to other types of foam as well.
Interesting that was never then trademarked and no kind of standards were set for that word. So it's just whatever plastic hybrid garbage you want to call memory foam you can.
Yeah, I don't know the sort of the comprehensive history on sort of early trademarks, or sort of, what NASA had, what Tempur-Pedic had. If it's like other products from NASA, I think those tend to sort of, NASA just like opens them up to sort of, commercial availability to kind of anybody who wants to run with it. But in today's world, yeah, there really is just no clear definition on what memory foam is. So you have kind of every brand under the sun that thinks marketing their product as having memory foam will be helpful, doing so.
Okay. And if we go to your website now, what's different other than the really fun quiz and all that? how are you fixing the fact that nobody knows what memory foam is and all these standards are completely bastardized?
So what we try and do is to sort of take as much of the marketing speak and the hyperbole that you see on mattress review or mattress product websites and just take that out. And so instead of, seeing a foam that, ooh, this is super ice ultra gel cooling foam, and this is, the ultra comfort Dynamax foam, we don't do that. We just go and look and say, hey, okay, is this a memory foam? Is this a polyfoam? Okay. How thick is it? How dense is it? How does it feel? How does it perform? And so our aim is to use a battery of objective and data-driven tests to take the guesswork out of the mattresses and take sort of that shiny veneer off. We want to look at the numbers around the mattress. And so instead of just listening to what a particular brand says on their product page about how cool a mattress is, instead of just listening to me about my opinions on how cool it is, we're actually taking a thermal camera, we're taking surface level temperature measurements to see, okay, what's the maximum temperature this thing hits after you've been lying on the mattress for a while? And then how does it dissipate that heat over time? Similarly, with something like motion transfer, instead of, having, the old wine glass test where someone kind of walks around a little bit on the other side of the mattress while a wine glass stays perfectly upright, we're bringing numbers in. So we place an accelerometer on one side of the mattress and drop a medicine ball on the other side so we can see exactly what the sort of quantifiable information of that motion transfer looks like. What are the acceleration peaks and valleys? How long is the acceleration persisting on the mattress in terms of seconds? And so our whole idea is to bring as much quantifiable information about each mattress as possible that lets us more objectively analyze and understand what's going on that mattress. And then lastly, compare our understandings of that particular mattress to everything else that we've tested so we can very clearly say, hey, this mattress is better or worse than these mattresses. This mattress is in maybe the top 10% in terms of cooling, but maybe it's, super bouncy. And so it's not so great in terms of motion transfer, and it's in the bottom, 20% of performers there. And then have all this information really intuitive and easy to understand so that our readers can come, they can check out these reviews, check out our tools of comparisons, and then be able to make an informed decision that's right for them and is going to meet their needs and preferences.
I don't know if you're comfortable answering this, but in the business model, there's no plan to have mattress advertisers then. Because you would completely ruin the point of this if there was a big banner saying buy the hyper flexi comfort memory bullshit, right?
Exactly. We have no plans to do any type of advertising, sponsored content, advertorial content, pay for placement, anything like that. You're exactly right. We don't. It would immediately create sort of weird conflicts of interest, and then just weird to see another brand being advertised on a particular review page or best of page. So. We don't have any type of on-site display or content advertising anywhere.
So how many years have you been a mattress person, tester, engineer, mattress connoisseur, and how many mattresses would you have slept on, do you think, in those years?
So we're coming up on about 11 and a half years. I got my start in 2014. And so during that time, we've tested something like 520 mattresses, I believe, 530, somewhere in that range.
And you slept on all of them personally?
The first 120 I personally slept on. The mattresses we've tested since then, we've developed, again, this sort of, battery of objective and data-driven tests. So it's not just me sleeping on it and giving my opinions. Instead, we are sort of gathering all of this data and information and measurements about each mattress. And then we use that to analyze and understand and sort of, make recommendations based on that performance criteria.
To collect the data, so while you're sleep testing the mattress, are other people in the room, or are you using like a wrist watch, one of these Apple watches or something?
So we're not doing sleep tests anymore. So the initial 120 that we tested, we did, basically sleep on it for a week. And, for a while we had, the sleep trackers to help monitor performance. And then I would basically just take really detailed notes each morning on what the experience like, what my body felt like. Was I waking up? Was I staying asleep? General comfort, those sorts of things. But again, those are our first sort of 120 mattresses. Since then, we've been, again, just focused on sort of the data that's coming out of our sort of 10 objective and data-driven tests.
And are you really into personally outside of the work? Are you really into like are you a sleep optimizer? Have you looked at all the studies of how to sleep best and which nostril should be on top and all that?
Yeah, I mean, invariably, in this line of work, I've come across sort of all of the studies that say, it's supposed to be this temperature, and you want less light and less noise, and these hours, and avoid these distractions, and um, I certainly don't have not gone sort of as deep into the rabbit hole as I think you can, but I've done I think the simple things that made sense to me, making the space quiet, making the space dark, having a consistent bedtime. All of those were sort of really big helps. Beyond that, I think just mentally finding time to sort of unwind and process during the day. So especially kind of earlier in my career, I would sort of my head would hit the pillow and I would just be spinning for like an hour or more every night, sort of thinking through all the things that I needed to get done sort of the next day. Certainly, that wasn't a particularly healthy way to be. So, I really made sort of efforts to, again, just sort of mental sort of, tricks and this and that to sort of get that information out of my head during the daytime so that by the time we are ready to sleep, I can, just get to sleep more quickly.
Yeah. I've been a bad sleeper for at least a decade or so, something. I don't know. I got this hardwired habit where in the army I learned how to block out light and sound by putting one arm over basically my entire face. And then I couldn't for many years sleep without putting my arm like that, which led to then all kinds of like joint and muscle pains in the mornings. And then I've gotten rid of that since, but still I have to have some kind of audio in my ears and it has to be perfect. It can't be too engaging like this magically engaging conversation, but it can't be too boring because I get really annoyed by listening to boring things. So it has to be just in that sweet spot. It's kind of interesting. So often it's something I've heard before. Like an audiobook, I go to the previous chapter, so I've already heard it or something. Yeah.
I like that the sort of arm blocking light and sound. I've not heard that before, but that's genius. I tried to sleep with a sleep mask for a few months and just couldn't do it. Just my eyes just didn't like the sort of the pressure. But what I end up doing sort of instead a lot of times is just sort of pulling the comforter kind of just over my eyes, and so it blocks my eyes, but I sort of leave my nose and mouth sort of unblocked, so I can still get full and deep breaths, but try to block as much of that light as possible. Just get the room again as dark as it possibly can be. And that has seemed to help me.
Do you believe in the inbuilt audio players in some mattresses and pillows?
I mean, I think like so many of sort of the sleep tech space, I think if there's a group of people that's going to work great for, and there's a bunch of people that it's probably not going to make that big of a difference. I think you can end up spending a lot of money on sleep tech type products like that. They're designed to track and optimize sleep. And again, I think some of them are going to work great for certain people, and some of them are going to kind of miss the mark. So I think it really depends on who you are as an individual sleeper. For me, even like a white noise machine, noise of the fan, any sort of noise coming from sort of sleep tech optimizer, soundscapes, is just going to keep me awake. It's not going to actually help me go to sleep. And so I suspect there are probably others like me, but my kids for many years would go to sleep listening to little soundscapes or simple stories on these little kids players and stuff. My wife also, when I'm not in the room, will do that a lot of times. So I think it really just depends on your individual preferences on whether or not those can make a meaningful difference.
Yeah. When you said you collect all this data from the mattresses, so I'm assuming when I go to your website and you match me with a mattress, it's based on some kind of like percentage of what I match in the stuff that you've called measure. But isn't some stuff way more critical than other stuff? Like I might match poorly with this product on the way I want it to look in my room, but then it's great for the firmness I need. So is it weighted? But what can you tell us about the actual like process of how the matching works?
Yes, it's exactly like you describe, and so we're using heavy weights on the things that matter the most. So Number one, budget is heavily weighted. We don't want to recommend anything over a stated budget, even if it is, better. There's a certain amount of money that a particular sleeper can spend, and so like that's what we have to work within. Firmness is also massively weighted. It is sort of, the number one thing kind of after budget. We need to make sure that we are finding the ideal firmness. And it's not just a matter of feeling comfortable or, liking a particular, type of firmness. So much of it is about, making sure that we have the firmness that matches the needs of the sleeper's weight, but also the sleeping position. If you weigh more and you sleep on your stomach, you need a different type of mattress than someone that's maybe only 100 pounds and sleeps on their sides. And there's all these different sort of classes that we look for in terms of what is the right firmness. Body weight is another one that's heavily weighted. And this one really is sort of, heavily weighted kind of on the extremes. If you're kind of in that middle area, let's say, 120 to like 270 pounds, then like most mattresses are going to be fine. But if you're kind of on those more extremes, less than 120 or like more than 280, then you may need a specific type of mattress that's just going to be better tuned to your weight. And so those are sort of the big three sort of weight categories that we look at. And then we use our other factors and preferences and needs that a particular sleeper would state to sort of help narrow down sort of the pool of the mattresses that meet those bigger weighted categories.
Yeah. I suppose though, like in this entire thing, there's a line. Because surely you guys can't give medical advice, and then obviously sleeping on the wrong thing will lead to medical problems. So a lot of this is based on customer preference. Like the questions in the quiz are like, what do you like in a mattress? And rather than you guys saying like, listen, hey, Danny, you're a little fat. You should probably go a little firmer. Because then you're crossing some kind of legalistic line or other, right? So I guess my question is, how does just a company like yours, how are you able to get people to choose the right thing that would actually make them healthier and sleep better? Because you can't give medical advice.
Correct. And yes, we do not give medical advice. But if your doctor says you need a firm hybrid mattress and you come to me and say, hey, I need a firm hybrid mattress, well, we can help you find that because we're looking at a firm hybrid mattress, not because we're doctors and we know that that's what you need medically. That's what your doctor has advised. And so if we have, readers come and they say they need a particular type of mattress, we're going to help them find that, whether their doctor told them to get that or they just know that they like that particular mattress. And so, there's definitely a line there. We don't cross that line. We're not doctors. We're not, providing medical advice. We are merely trying to match the mattresses that are in alignment with what a particular sleeper has said that they need and prefer.
By the way, you're everything I could have hoped for in our first mattress guy. I love it. You're answering everything. So what's a common thing people get wrong? What do people always mostly go too soft or mostly go too firm for their own good?
I think as many people are going too soft as they are too firm. Firmness is probably the most common thing that people get wrong. The sort of simple truth is the vast majority of sleepers need a medium firm mattress. That's going to cover all sleep positions. It's going to cover body types, again, between like 120 and like 280 pounds. There are just not that many people by percentage that need something that's softer or firmer than that. So if you have any doubts about the firmness you need, go with that sort of medium firm feel, like a 6 out of 10, where 10 is the most firm. I would say the other sort of big thing is just spending more money than you need to. You can go into these specialty mattress stores and you'll find, models, anywhere between, $3,000 and $10,000. The prices can just get, astronomically expensive, based on the mattresses that we've tested, which include everything from, a mattress that's like $200 all the way up to, $10,000. The most mattresses in that sort of, $2,000 range are kind of in the sweet spot. We start to see diminishing returns sort of, begin then. With very few exceptions, there really is no need to ever spend more than about $3,000 USD. If you want something that's like maybe super natural, super organic, or uses like electronically adjustable air pumps to adjust the firmness, you're going to pay a little bit more for those types. But excluding those, for just your regular, coil, hybrid, foam mattress, $2,000 to $3,000 is more than enough to get a really high quality mattress that should last every bit of 10 years.
I saw you do Australia and the UK as well in the recommendations. Is that across currencies roughly the price, or have you looked into? Are there like huge differences in America in the prices?
I don't know super deeply about, every country's sort of, regional sort of price. I know America, it tends to be like the most expensive. So I don't think those markets are quite as insane in terms of mattress prices are they here in the US. But I think it really kind of just depends. I think you will likely find, overpriced mattresses in any country. And so being able to sort of, have your guards up to, identify those and understand that you may be just sort of paying extra for just sort of the right to sort of, own this brand name, when the reality is sort of the materials and the design of that mattress are not substantially different than what you could get with a lower priced option.
The other thing I wanted to ask is, with all this like cognitive performance based on like when you sleep better, you're meant to do better at pretty much everything in life. For you, how many hours do you get? And do you think if you get too few hours, how much can the mattress save? Like if you get 6 hours on a great mattress, that's perfect for you. Is that as good as 8 hours on a worse one?
It's better. I wouldn't say it's as good. When it comes to sleep, sort of, what, the studies, the sort of the clinical evidence is shown just repeatedly over the last, 20, 30 years, is that most adults need, 7 to 8 hours per night. If you're getting less than that, sort of regardless of, the type of mattress or how good the mattress is, it's just not enough to heal and restore your body. And so you really have got to shoot for that 7 to 8 hours, if at all possible. That being said, if you are sleeping on a mattress that is worse, such that you're not only getting worse sleep, but you're waking up with, body pains and soreness, like that's sort of an issue kind of on top of the fact that you're, limiting, your total number of hours of sleep. So definitely even if you cannot get those 7, 8 hours, sort of a higher quality mattress that better meets your specific needs and preferences is still going to be better than, just making it work on something that is causing you to wake up in pain.
Yeah, of course. What's a bigger nonsense gimmick? Water beds or like those Rockstar rotating round or heart-shaped things?
Rockstar rotating beds. I don't think I've actually seen that.
Or like a round, yeah, they have like a round thing that comes out of the wall, and it's like a heart-shaped or round bed that isn't a rectangle.
Oh, okay. Yes. I would say it's got to be water beds. It's a bigger gimmick. I mean,
so your quiz would never return a recommendation of water bed.
No, we don't recommend any water beds. I've only tested a handful in my career, so I remember growing up, my dad had one, and so it was like, fun to be on as a kid. But as an adult, I've not come across many people that still have a water bed, and even having only tested a couple myself, yeah, they're a weird gimmick that I think the world is better off to have moved on from.
Yeah, I mean, genius marketing, right? I wonder if anyone ever slept well in those.
Truly genius. I mean, if you think about, what's in it, I mean, all of the sort of expensive stuff that goes into mattresses, coils, foams, this and that, they just didn't need it. They just got a waterproof bag and put water in it and said, all right, we're done. That's it.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. What about, do you guys plan to branch into like camping beds, camper van beds, all of these like alternative places you end up sleeping in life?
Yes. So camper mattresses, RV mattresses, definitely something that we're looking at. We want to do sort of air mattresses as well. So anything that you would inflate for, again, either camping, RVs, guests, short-term stuff. So that's all on our list of mattresses I want to be able to test in the hopefully near future. We've got a lot of sort of more traditional mattresses to still get through before we're ready to start that, but definitely those other alternative mattresses are coming.
Yeah, and I think I'm sure you've thought about it, a massive market, especially in America, is dormitories, right? I'm pretty sure that you arrive and you get a crap one that's been slept on by generations of other students. And if you can like optimize to a student budget, like what is the best cheap single mattress you can get and survive 3 years on, or or
Yeah.
4 years, however long the degree is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I don't currently have sort of a best mattress for dorms list, but maybe that's something we should put together because yeah, if you only got, 300-400 bucks to spend, it's gonna be a heck of a lot better than what the dorm gives you for free. I was remembering back to my free dorm mattress, and I don't know, somehow I was not as disturbed by the fact that, probably dozens of others had slept on this thing, but but best to not think about it maybe.
Well, you get other populations, I think, there too. Like anywhere, I guess, like army units, I guess, if they allow you to and bring your own in, like all these like budget single
Yeah.
bed people who have to sleep somewhere other than home, and they might as well, make it good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you only need, a twin or twin XL, you can get a really nice mattress for not a ton of money. And something that will be substantially better than what you're likely to get for free from any of those providers.
Hmm. Can I ask you a big question? Why? How did you? I'm admiring the niche, dedicating your life and career to mattresses, but how did this happen?
It was kind of by accident. The whole thing started with just a bad experience in a mattress store. My wife and I got married in 2014. Initially, we were sleeping on my full size mattress just from high school, and so we were pretty quickly in the market for a new bed. And we did kind of the whole in store shopping thing, going in, laying on beds, trying this and that, talking to salesmen. And we found beds that we liked, but these things were just $4, $5, $6,000. It just felt astronomically expensive, and we're a newly married couple, pretty frugal people, not a whole lot of money to speak of, and we just couldn't pull the trigger. And so we ended up trying one of these online mattresses that was kind of just really getting started the online industry in 2014. We bought a king size, 10-inch foam mattress for 600 bucks. Tried it out. It was all right. We ended up returning it. It wasn't great for us, but the return process was really easy. We tried another online bed. It was a little bit better. We liked that one more. And then we ended up keeping that one, and just kind of like as a little fun weekend hobby project for me. I was just like, all right, hey, I'm going to like make a website this weekend. I'm going to review these two beds. I'm going to compare them. I'll put some notes about like what the experience was in store. And I just throw it up there to see if anybody cares or likes it. Not thinking it would do anything crazy, but within just a few weeks, we were getting like a ton of traffic. People were asking me to test other beds. So we got a couple more before 2014 was done. Tested those, reviewed them, compared them, did the whole kind of shebang, and people loved it. I was having fun. It started making a good amount of money within just a few months of launching the site. I had replaced my kind of full-time income, and as I was kind of like ending sort of my time at sort of the job I was working at, like I was just ready to leave, and I was like, hey, this is an avenue for me to leave sooner, so I'm gonna give this a try. And so I began my full-time professional mattress testing career about 5 or 6 months after we initially had launched the site.
Awesome. That's great. And do you still enjoy it? Like, if I just ask you mattress questions, are they coming out of your ears now, or are you?
No, it's fun. It's a great career. I mean, while the thing we do can feel a bit repetitive after having tested hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these, the work still feels meaningful in a way that like my last job was just like really burning me out because what I was doing just felt like utterly pointless. Being able to test and review stuff, and people come to me and they ask me what they should buy, and we're able to like connect them with like the right bed. It makes a difference in their sleep and in their physical health and their mental health. Sleep is everything. The stories that we hear from our readers and our viewers are just really edifying. It just makes me feel like the stuff that we're doing matters, and it's something where we get to help people. And so I really do enjoy what I get to do. I get to work with closely with my friends and family. That also is a huge boon. So feel very, very fortunate and blessed to get to do this.
And I guess the most obvious question on everyone's mind is that, and it is part of your quiz as well, that there are often two people sleeping on these things. They'll be making a specific side for you and then for your partner. So it's different materials. Or is it going to recommend just the best average product?
Depends on what the sleeper wants, right? So we can recommend kind of whatever avenue they want to go. But if someone comes to me and they say, I sleep with a partner, and here are their needs, and here are my needs. My first inclination is always, all right, let's try to compromise the firmness. If they want slightly firm and they want medium, all right, we can split the difference. Medium firm, everyone's going to probably still be happy, and that's just going to be like a less expensive bed than the other options. But sometimes, people come and they've got very different needs. Maybe, she's 100 pounds, he's 300 pounds. She wants extra soft, he wants extra firm. That's a harder thing to solve. And so we've got a few different ways we can go about that. One is to find sort of a split mattress that has sort of electronically adjustable firmness via air pumps. And so that lets, each person get exactly what they want. And it's really easy and it looks great. Problem is, it's very expensive. Another option we can get is just a split king, which is just two twin XL mattresses side by side. And so with that configuration, it's kind of the same thing. We have two mattresses that are, each person gets exactly what they need. And so we can find, even from different brands, get her the extra soft, get him the extra firm. Everyone's happy. The last way we do it is sort of internal firmness splits. There are not that many brands that sell these, but there are a handful. And it's essentially, queens and king sizes where it looks like a single mattress, but the comfort layers and sometimes the support layers below them are different in order to achieve a particular type of feel and or firmness. The nice thing about the internal split is it looks like a single mattress. A lot of people who, have very different needs don't like the idea of a split king because it's, there's sort of kind of the gap in the middle. And so that can be really troublesome and annoying for some. So those are the sort of different sort of avenues that we have to like look at, and find a mattress that's going to work. Most people can typically compromise, with their sleeping partner. And that, again, is usually sort of, best overall performance and least expensive. But if you can't, you've got the different sort of split options and as well as some of the higher tech options with the sort of adjustable air pumps.
Yeah. But everyone does hate the gap though. So every time it's a split mattress, there's that terrible gap.
Yeah, I mean, some people really hate it. My wife and I tested a number of split kings over the years. It never really bothered me, but also we just don't spend a whole lot of time like in the gap area. But if you are someone that does hate that gap, there are some options. You can get a topper, which is 1 to 3 inches of sort of foam that just sits on top and then sort of helps fill that in. Another option, you've got usually what's called a mattress bridge, and it's just sort of a harder piece of foam that just sort of like sits in between the gap, and again, just helps smooth over that gap so you don't feel like you're falling in between the beds.
See, yeah. So you're it's all about like transparency and fixing all this what would we say, maybe false advertising or tricking consumers kind of aspect that's been happening in the industry. So what's the difference in your reviews? Why are they so much more honest or accurate?
Well, certainly, I like to think that the data is the biggest difference, right? It's not just my opinion on these things. We're collecting, we are precisely measuring data about the mattresses so that we can objectively and quantifiably understand how this thing performs, how it measures. How thick is it? How thin is it? The different things that determine how a mattress feels. Beyond that, we try to bring as much transparency to our reviews and website as possible. I want people to know exactly who we are, where we are, how we make money, what brands we've tested, what products we got for free, which ones we pay with, which ones we paid for, and sort of every other like conceivable piece of information that they might be interested to know who we are. And I just think it's really important so that people understand, every sort of individual sort of behind the review. In a world where I think sort of influencer marketing has gotten really crazy, and you'll have every influencer in the world will say, this thing is the greatest mattress ever, the greatest product ever, kind of as long as they're paid to do so. That just feels pretty just kind of yucky, just kind of disingenuous to me. I just find that sort of content really distasteful in the world of like reviews that should be based on honesty and transparency and openness and real genuine experiences with the product. So that's what we try to do at NapLab, and I hope that our sort of the way we go about testing and collecting data and making it is just clear and possible exactly all of our the way we operate and our financial incentives, that we're able to earn the trust of our readers, and that they can just see exactly what we are and who we are, really simply put.
Yeah, we had an author who had self-published a book as well, who said that in that world, I think this is across industries, that the online reviews are just a massive industry, and in that there are players who are not playing the game exactly fair towards anyone, towards the end consumer or the creator of something, or builder of the product or seller of it. Because or try opening a podcast, like try starting one of these and see how many people try to sell listeners and reviewers to you and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's pretty dirty everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. The world of online reviews, I think, like I said, across industry has become, I think, really artificial and manipulated and paid and sponsored. Everything is just an opportunity to sell. And, these spaces that historically and maybe ideally would be, based on, honesty and truth and openness have just kind of become corrupted in many ways.
Yeah, and I suppose AI now just generates a gazillion reviews in a second and just pushes them out.
It's all the worst things that were there before, just now at infinite scale.
Yeah. So obviously you're fixing this for mattresses to some extent. Have you ever thought about like any bigger fixes for this? Like how do we change it for, I don't know, Amazon or some other big website where AI generated reviews just ruin it for everyone?
Yeah, I've had ideas in my mind where we might go in the future. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, I find the things that just sort of bother me personally are the ones that I end up getting the most interested in. Sort of we had a terrible experience shopping for a mattress in a store, and that just sort of propelled me down this path of, all right, well, I hated everything about going into the store to shop, so let's find a different approach. And I think I've got some others. I think kind of everything related to the world of like home services, I think is similarly like really sort of corrupted and is just not in the best interest of consumers in many cases. And so I would love to do something in that world, though. Not sure sort of when would be able to expand into that type of testing.
Does your model at all consider environment and supporting local business, in the sense that if two scores are tied, will it recommend the one built somewhere near you rather than one that's shipped from China or something?
So we don't consider location of like mattress origin as a scoring factor. So that's not part of our thing. We do include that data for people that find that helpful, and they could say, oh, I don't want to buy anything made in this country, then they can easily avoid those. But currently we're not considering that as part of our scoring parameters.
Are there any like historical, I don't know, for leather we think of Italian shoes, and for diamonds I guess Antwerp or something like that. Are there any like powerhouses for mattress engineering?
I don't think so. In most cases, I think you're better off buying in your country, provided your country is making high quality products. I'm always hesitant to sort of paint with a broad brush, but I think in general the mattresses that are made sort of throughout Europe, buying something that you're shipping to the EU and you're in the EU or in the UK, like those are all going to be fine options. If you're in the US and you're buying from a US company, that's going to be a fine option. Same with Canada, same with Australia. Many parts of Asia, I think, are more problematic when it comes to manufacturing mattresses. The types of foams that I have seen come out of some of these countries have been, let's just say, less than great. But it really depends. There are some brands that are perfectly fine, and I think, trying to make a good quality product, and they have overseas manufacturing, and it's still fine. But then there are many others that are clearly using overseas manufacturing as a way to cut corners and make it as inexpensively as possible, even though they know they're also making it worse. But to kind of get back to your original sort of bigger question, I don't think there's any sort of like major country or regional powerhouse in the world of mattresses, particularly nothing kind of on like the level of like Italian leather.
Is there, I mean, this is so against your interests, if in case this might be true, but what we just talked there, it brought to my mind this thought. What about all these other ways that people have been sleeping over the centuries and still are in different cultures, sleeping on a blanket by a riverside or in a tent in the desert or something? Do you think this is any of these mattress engineering companies are taking into account like how humans actually evolved, sleeping just on the ground? And is mattress the right answer in the first place? Like there was that guy who argued, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, there was that big book, was it called The Running Man or something, who argued that the sneakers in themselves are a mistake, regardless of brand and engineering, that actually you should be running barefoot. You catch my drift at all here?
Yeah.
Is this a stupid idea?
No. I think it's interesting, and certainly, I think if you're a mattress company and you make mattresses, well, you don't care that people have historically not slept on a mattress, right? When in caveman times, we also didn't wear synthetic clothing, but there are benefits to wearing a bit of polyester now and then. So I don't think mattress companies are probably considering well, what if we didn't have a mattress, right? But I do think it's a fair point to sort of look at some of these other options, particularly, in many parts of Asia, it's sort of very, very thin, sort of extra firm type mattresses and futons have been very popular for, millennia and still are in many parts of the world. So if you can comfortably sleep on something that is simpler, I think that's perfectly fine. I think you really have to just have an honest assessment of like what works well for your body. I think it can be tempting to sort of, look particularly at sort of, other, regions and countries and cultures of the world and say, oh, well, in Japan, the futon works perfect. So that's cheap. I'm going to get that. That's good enough for me. If it's good enough, for them. And then I'll see my readers that'll try that and then find, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I don't like this. I think it's one of those things where like if you sort of grew up on sleeping on those types of mattresses, it's like perfectly normal. But if you've had decades of your body being trained to sleep on sort of, more Western style mattresses, if you will, it can be virtually impossible to like make the switch to something else. So in all cases, I think listen to your body. If you are sleeping on a futon or a hard mattress or a soft mattress or a medium mattress or a hammock or the floor or a camper van or whatever it is, if you're sleeping on it and waking up well rested and comfortable without pain, there's no need to switch. But if you're sleeping on those things and waking up with problem areas, you're not rested, you're tired, then it's worth considering something else that's just a better match for what your body needs currently.
Yeah. No, I see that. And a lot of people with back problems eventually like end up on the floor, right? As one solution of two. Like that's the only way they can do it.
It can be, or just an extra firm mattress is not going to have much give. So it might not be the most comfortable, but at least the back is like in alignment with itself, and it's not having to engage the muscles just to like maintain spinal support during the night.
Yeah. I know this changes based on how much we've spent money and what materials it's made of and your lifestyle and everything. But let's say I spent that $2,000 to $3,000 on a relatively proper one, and everything's perfect. I don't have any pains. I like sleeping in it. How often should I change it regardless? Like when should I just get a fresh one?
Most modern mattresses are going to last about 10 years. So if you're at the 10-year mark, it's worth sort of considering, all right, is it time? In all cases, I always just recommend to my readers, like, again, listen to your body. If you're waking up and you're not well rested, you're painful, you're sore, you're just not getting good sleep at night, whether that mattress is 10 years or 5 years or 15 years, like it's probably time to make the switch. While most mattresses are designed to go about 10 years, some may not last that long. Others may go a little bit longer, depending on, again, your body type, how you use the mattress, environment, mattress care, the type of frame and foundation it's on. All these things will, impact how long that mattress is going to last. And then ultimately, when it doesn't feel comfortable anymore, while the mattress could still be like in good shape, your body can just also change over time. And you may find that the mattress that initially was really comfortable, you've had some change in your body, you've had a preference change, you've had an injury, and that bed may no longer just be a good fit for you.
Exactly. When I've now gotten the new one, you must have a lot of experience in this. A mattress is the hardest thing to get rid of. What's the solution? I guess some companies say we'll take the old one away, but if you don't get it, that's
Yeah.
serious.
It really depends on, I think, where you are in the world. Here in the U.S., you can just pay for a company like a 1-800-GOT-JUNK will come with a truck and take the mattress away for something like $70. I'm not sure if they are in
landfill
in the UK, but yeah, they're off to the landfill. Whether or not the mattress company is hauling away your old mattress, which many of them will if they do full service delivery. Otherwise, you may just have to call that. And in the U.S. here we have sort of bulk trash pickup in a lot of cities, and they'll just take the mattress if you just leave it at the curb. So, but unfortunately, unless you have sort of a mattress sort of recycling center near you, unfortunately, the landfill is going to be the final resting place for most of those.
Okay, excellent. By the way, I think I have to release I normally release in the mornings. I'm going to release this one at night, I think, European time, afternoon, your time, just so that we can in a moment say good night instead of have a nice day or whatever.
I love that.
Yeah. Hey, can you give the listeners a reminder of the website? I'll put all the links in the description as well. And a cool logo, that piggy. I love it.
Thank you. Yes, our website's naplab.com. That's NAPLAB.com. There we have our reviews, comparisons, best of guides, educational materials, and a whole lot more. You'll also find our mattress quiz there. Answer a few questions about your needs, preferences, and budget. That goes straight back to me or a member of my team, and we'll get you a full recommendation back within 24 hours.
You got any final thing to keep in mind about sleep, mattresses, anything?
Here's one final tip. If you aren't already doing it, make sure to get and use a high-quality waterproof mattress protector. The mattress protector is beneficial for a number of reasons. Number one, protects from sort of catastrophic, spills, accidents, pets, and so forth. Number two, protects your mattress warranty. A lot of mattress companies will just void the warranty if they find out you've not been using a protector. And number three, also protects the mattress from sagging and forming body impressions more deeply and more quickly. A lot of people will be wondering, well, how can that possibly be? It just comes down to the amount of moisture coming off your body each night. Each adult human loses between half a liter and a liter of moisture each night. A lot of that just through perspiration, through breathing, but also body oils. All that extra liquid gets down in the mattress if you don't have a protector, and that's going to cause the foams in your mattress to degrade much more quickly, so forming body impressions, sagging faster, deeper. So a high-quality waterproof mattress protector is, I think, maybe the single most important thing you can do to help make that mattress last a little bit longer.
That's awesome advice. Hey, thank you so much for your time, Derek. This was so much fun. I love it. And everyone find NapLab in the description, links, and obviously press the internet buttons on this show as well. Follow, review, send it to your least favorite friend or relative. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
Now, if you enjoyed this episode of The Talking Ass, remember to rate, review, follow the show for more of this weirdness, and share with a friend, enemy, neighbor, relative, lover even. And press those goddamn internet buttons. Press them hard. Follow, all that jazz. See you next time.